What's going on, everybody? You're listening to the Point2Point NHL Recap Show, Season 2, Episode 29. I'm Pascal Pryor, joined by Mark Havlicek. Today we're going to be talking about the Conference Finals. We're about halfway through right now. Both these series look like they are close to coming to an end. Before we talk about that, though, Mark, what's going on with you, dude?
Dude, nothing much, man. I've been just watching every night of the NHL. I've also been kind of keeping close tabs on the Memorial Cup as well, because I thought, fuck, this is going to be an interesting tournament this year. Medicine Hat's going to the finals on Sunday. It's crazy that they're done. I was talking to my parents about this yesterday. It's like they're done their 3-round robin games, and they don't play till Sunday now. And it's like a really long break. I mean, if they're dealing with like injuries and stuff, I mean, that's better, but I mean, they're probably so anxious to play that game. But so besides the NHL, dude, kind of just following the Memorial Cup. I was watching a little bit of the World Championships. I don't know. I can't really get that into it, to be honest with you, just because it's not like full capabilities of rosters. But I mean, I still respect it. You know what I mean? And good for the U.S., dude. I couldn't believe they didn't win in 92 years, the World Championship. That's absolutely nuts. But dude, kudos to them, man. I mean, it's probably a huge hurdle off their back. But besides that, dude, I'm fully diving into hockey right now. Obviously, like, it's going to be ending in like a month or so. And then the offseason will get going. But I'm just kind of trying to absorb as much as it is possible before we have a little bit of a break. How you been doing, dude?
I'm all with you on that, dude. I'm trying to absorb as much as possible because you always take it for granted how awesome it is during the season. And then you get to, like, after the draft, not so much after the draft.
Free agency.
I'd say, like, when you're, like, 2-3 days into free agency after that and all the big guys have already signed, then it's kind of like, holy shit, like, it's 3 months of, like, no hockey to watch. There's not much talk, right? Like, you really take it for granted how awesome it is having that around until you get to the middle of July and it's like, holy fuck, like, what's going on right now in the NHL? You know what I mean? But since we do have stuff going on, let's talk about the Eastern Conference Finals. Tonight, the Florida Panthers, they have a chance to clinch the series over the Carolina Hurricanes. They lead the series 3-1 after the Hurricanes extended it with a Game 4 win. Mark, so far from what you've seen, what are your thoughts on the series?
I feel like for the most part, minus the last game, it's kind of went exactly as I thought. Maybe not in accordance to maybe they've blown them out a couple more times than I've expected. Because I feel like a couple of years ago, like, remember the whole thing with Rod being like, we didn't get swept, even though they got swept. Like, as much as I disagree with him, I get what he's saying. Like, buddy, they went to 4 overtimes and they went to a double overtime. He's more or less just saying, like, you know what I mean? Half of the series was basically a coin flip, you know what I mean? In accordance to, like, we could have won both those games. But I feel like this year it's been completely different, especially in the 3 games that they lost. Like, Carolina did not look as good, in my opinion. I do think that Florida was probably playing to their full capability, at least in, like, near the end of Game 3, obviously a little bit earlier on in the series. And I think at the end of the day, I don't think Carolina's playing, like, bad. They're definitely not playing to their capability, but I feel like it's more or less we're watching, like, a great team kind of take over. You know what I mean? And I feel like Carolina might not be able to withhold that. And then at the times where Carolina has not looked like themselves at all, they've been very exposed. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like for the most part, like, it's been a very disappointing series. Like I said, remember I said after Game 1, I was like, isn't Game 2, like, it feels like a must-win game? Like, at this point, like, I can't lie to you, I was pretty surprised that Carolina didn't end up getting swept. I thought that they would probably be down and out, and I thought Florida, not that they weren't motivated to finish it, but I thought it was like they were running so hot that it was just going to kind of be over. You know what I mean? But you got to give Carolina a little bit of credit. They played more of their game. They got back to, like, high volume shooting. Obviously, they only really scored 1 actual goal. I honestly, dude, I think Logan Stankoven has probably been the best player for Carolina in this series. I feel like besides even scoring the last 2 games, he's been super effective. Like, even like these little board battles, dude. Like, he's just a little bulldog out there. Like I feel like he is the prime example of, like, a player who's small, like, what you need to do to make it. And honestly, as much as I don't think he'll ever get to this stature, don't you think he's kind of like more of a light Marty St. Louis?
Yeah, I'd
Like
say
the way
so.
he works out there, dude, and he's still got like he's got some high end skill, Stankoven. Like, dude, that shot, like I think honestly that Logan Stankoven eventually could be like a consistent 30-goal scorer. Because I think he has that shot, and I think he's just kind of getting used to the NHL. And I think that these 2 long playoff runs now are really going to help him. And I think with Dallas too, it's like maybe he wasn't getting the most opportunity at all the times just because of how deep their roster is. And I feel like this is kind of like a coming out party for Stankoven.
Yeah, you're gonna like right now he's playing on their third line a fair bit of the time, and going forward next season, like he's gonna be consistently in their top six. I'd imagine he's gonna be on their first power play, right? Like this is a guy that I think we like a lot of people did have high expectations for him this year, but as you said, he wasn't getting the most of opportunity in Dallas, and then he dealt with the whole getting traded mid-season, right? Like you're not really expecting that. He has had a lot of stuff to overcome this season, and next year in his sophomore year, I could see him having a massive breakout and even hitting the 30 goal mark next year.
I think he's probably, to be honest with you, if I had to put money on it, like I'd be pretty confident betting that he's going to put up 50 points next year.
Oh, I'd smash
I
the
think
over
like
on
a
that 10 times
25
out of
and
10.
25 or 25 and 25 or something, to be honest with you. And I feel like too at the same time, like I was thinking about this, dude. I'm like, I feel like this was the only scenario for Dallas where they actually would have ever thought about trading him. Because like
Yes.
there's no chance they wanted to get rid of him. They were just like, fuck, like we have a chance to get Rantanen, like we gotta give them something like of value. You know what I mean? And like they got a couple young guys. They value Wyatt Johnson more, which I mean is fair enough. But dude, Stankoven's a hell of a player. Like I almost thought he was ready for the NHL. Like when he got sent back to Kamloops because he stayed a couple games in the NHL. I don't even know if he played, and then he got sent back down. I was like, oh, kind of thought they'd give him more of an opportunity. And then last year when he started in the A, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, don't tell me this is another guy that like I think is ready and these teams just don't believe in. But Jim Nill kind of had a different game plan of sending him down, tearing up the AHL and getting called up. Just being so good that was like, we can't even let this guy like be in the
Yeah.
A the rest of the year. Like he's doing so good that we need to call him up, right? So we've kind of pumped his tires a little bit. I think Seth Jarvis has been all right too for Carolina. And I
He has
honestly
been.
think that at the end of the day, too, like they're having a little bit too many passengers. But I will say a couple of their vet guys that I've really noticed working like their dick off every night is Stahl and Martinuk. I feel like they've been super noticeable and they've been kind of doing their job. So I just didn't want to fully shit on Carolina and be like they're playing bad. And I kind of wanted to give kudos to a couple guys. Besides the last game, I mean, their goaltending's been pretty atrocious, to be honest with you. Freddie was not good those first 2 games. Kachekov was not good in game 3. But Freddie settled down last game. But I don't know if you feel the same way, dude. I still feel like this series is over tonight.
I'm with
I
you.
think Florida's coming out, dude, and I think they're ending it tonight.
I'm with you. I think this series is over tonight, man. Like it's tough to beat Florida back to back. I get it is in Carolina, but I don't think that takes too much of an effect with that. Like we've seen over the last playoffs and this year's playoffs, like Florida's not afraid to go in and play on the road and have the fans booing them, right? Like that doesn't phase Florida at all. We saw it in Game 7 against Toronto. I think Florida's going to go and they're going to come out hot, and I think the series is over tonight. But I agree with you. Like Carolina, when I've watched this series, yeah, maybe I'd like to see a bit more from some of Carolina's top dogs. I do think Jarvis and, as you said, Stankoven, they have had decent series. Like, but I think Brindamore really said it pretty well the other night. He said that you can't have your rookies and then Stahl and Martin being the best players in this series. I'm not
Yeah, and I think
saying,
he's referring to Jackson Blake too, who I think's actually
yeah,
been decent.
but it's like I would like to see a bit more from Aho. I would like to see a bit more from Sheshnikov. Taylor Hall, I feel like he hasn't really done too much this series. It's like those are some guys that probably could be playing a little bit better. I'm not saying that if they're the reason Carolina's losing, because as you said, I think it really is a case that we're watching Florida, this great team. But I think if those guys were playing a bit better, it may be a bit of a closer series, and we're not talking about the series being over tonight. And then
I just want. Oh, no, sorry. I was going to change, so you keep going.
I was gonna say, touching on Florida, like this is a team, dude, that like I don't think we've seen a playoff team play this well in 5+ years. Like for me, when I look at teams over the past 5 years that have had success in the playoffs, a lot of them are having success in a bit different ways than Florida. Like Florida, dude, Florida reminds me of a 90s hockey team go out and just fucking bully the team every night in the playoffs. It seems like a lot of teams have gotten away from that. More build skill. We're going to beat teams in the playoffs based on skill. We're better. We're better scorers. We're going to beat teams that way. Where Florida, yeah, they got a lot of that, but they're also getting a lot of that because every night they go out there and they beat the other team up, dude. Like you mentioned Stankoven and Jarvis. I love the way they've played this series, but man, are those two guys not getting the shit beat out of them every night? Even game
Yeah,
four, dude.
they are.
I feel
Yeah,
like
100%.
Jarvis within the first 10 minutes was laying on the ice after a hit 3 or 4 times. Like a lot of other teams, you're not seeing this, and Florida does this every night.
Do you think that's more of a test to like the player he is, or more or less that like there's no pushback from others? Because it's like, I don't think Jarvis plays a soft game, especially for
No,
his
I don't.
size.
I
You
don't
know what
think
I
he does
mean?
either. I
I
think
think
it's
Jarvis is like a complete player. Like he's not like you don't go out. You're not sitting here saying like Jarvis is like one of the better hitters in the league, but like, buddy, he'll lay the body, he'll block shots, he plays good defense. Like, and I think it's like him even getting hit like that shows he's super engaged in the game. But I mean, like, I agree where there's not a lot of pushback from others with it.
I think it's more that, and then the fact that when you look at Florida, like every player on that Florida team is not afraid to go in there and lay a big hit, right? Like I don't care if it's Barkov or Verhage or Sam Reinhart. Like every player on that team will go in and lay the body on the line. Whereas like when you look at Carolina, like you mentioned before round two that with the Carolina Washington mashup, you were a bit worried about Carolina getting pushed around a little bit, right? Like I think we really are starting to see that in this series with Florida, that Carolina is a team that can get pushed around a little bit. Like I would like to see maybe if in their top six at some point they did have maybe a bigger physical force, right? Like who's the most physical player in their top six right now? It's probably like I'd probably say it's Seth Jarvis, dude. It's like
Svechnikov's pretty physical.
yeah, he can be at times.
Um, I mean, yeah, like I agree. I feel like they were hoping like Rantanen could be that big body. I know he doesn't like
Yeah.
play like not that he doesn't play physical, but I mean like he's not more of like a power forward, I guess. Like you know what I mean? Um, yeah, I mean I agree. I feel like I felt like Washington could do this to Carolina, like but not at the same level that Florida is. But I felt like it would have been a little bit of a lighter version of it with Tom Wilson and Protus and like Ovi. And then like guys on their defense are not afraid to lay the body. Like I don't know. I felt like Washington had a better chance, but I feel like they didn't show it at all, and they got sucked into Carolina's game. And I think Florida's just going out every night. Like I'm not convinced they give a shit who they're playing. Like I really don't at all. Like obviously
Yeah.
throughout the regular season, shit happens, and like they're gonna lose games and not be on their game, and you know what I mean, not have their best stuff some nights. But I'm convinced no matter who they play, they don't care, dude. It's like Tampa, Toronto, it's Carolina, like it's probably Edmonton next. It's just like they know their game plan and they're sticking to it, and they have so much confidence in it that like I feel like it's like when they lose, and even like they're playing well, it's like like we're playing well, like it'll just you know what I mean, like the Bouncers will go our way next game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I feel like that's just how it is, or maybe Bob has an off night or something. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Even game four, man, like Florida ended up losing game four. It was essentially a 1-0 game because you have the two empty net goals at the end. And that goal by Stankoven, like that was what's Bob supposed to do there, man? That's a perfectly placed shot, right? Like
Yeah.
game four, which we're talking about, where it's a shutout win for Carolina. Like it looks a lot worse for Florida on paper than the game actually was. Like that easily could have gone Florida's way, depending on a couple bounces. Mark, since we both think this series is going to be over tonight, I want to ask you, what's next for the Carolina Hurricanes? Because this is a team that has been here multiple times over the years and really just have not gotten the outcome. Last game four, it was their first win in the conference finals. Do you know since what year?
Oh, two?
Oh six.
Oh
Their
shit!
first,
Yeah, fuck. They won the
yeah.
cup.
But it's like they've been there a couple times recently, and it's very surprising that that was their first win in the conference final since '06. We sort of did expect Carolina that, they had a good team, but with all this stuff that went on in the offseason, that maybe it wasn't fully going to be their year. But what do you want to see next from the Hurricanes in the offseason and going forward?
Before we just move on to that, and I will get to that one sec. Before I feel like it's not fair if we don't give some props to how Bob is playing in
Yeah,
Florida. We didn't talk about him at all, dude. I think he's been back in Bob form since like halfway through Game 3 against the Leafs, and he's looked phenomenal, dude. Like it's like they lose 3-0, one goal goes in. That's how he loses. Um, I think right now, to be honest with you, dude, it obviously depends who wins, but he has a good chance to win the Conn Smythe this year. In
yeah,
in my opinion, I feel like minus a couple games, he's been kind of the man. And obviously, we kind of just skim over it because it's like we almost expect it from him at this point. But I mean, he's unbelievable, right? So I just wanted to give a nugget to him, and I felt like it wouldn't be fair to not mention him at all before moving on with Carolina. Like, I mean, yeah, like I feel like this team is still in a pretty good spot despite them getting out this year. Their core is still in place, and if like people are not too familiar with their prospect pool, and obviously prospects are a question mark. There's no guarantee with them, but they probably have one of the better looking prospect pools in the NHL, if you've asked me. And even like a
yeah,
guy graduating this year, like Jackson Blake, and then Nikishin's coming into the lineup. Like we might see Bradley Nadeau next year. Like Scott Morrow's play. Honestly, he's been. I know we didn't talk about him, but he's not looked fucking good when he's been playing. But he's still a good prospect in my opinion. He's got some upside to probably be like a second pairing defender. So I think Carolina is looking okay in that sense, where they've got some guys that could be like kind of squeezing their way into the NHL in the next couple years, just like Jackson Blake did this year. And I feel like that's an underrated aspect to have. Players that can play in the NHL and make an impact that are on their entry level contract. I
yeah,
feel like every single team that wins the cup, and you don't really see it, there's a guy on their team that you look at in a couple years and they're a really good player, and you've looked back at them winning the cup and it's like that they were on their ELC at the time. You know what I mean? So, like it's like Kane and Taves, dude. Like when they won their first two cups, like I'm pretty sure they were on their ELCs. Like then you're like, look at their impact for what they're getting paid, and then it's like, holy shit, like we're paying these guys $2 million combined. We can go out and still get another stud. Like you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I like that aspect for Carolina, where it's like Stankoven and Blake will be coming off their ELCs. You'll still have Nadeau on there. Artemanov's been unreal in the KHL. He was a second round pick last year, and I really like the way they draft. And they've got picks. They've got a lot of picks. And I know I'm kind of talking about them like they're like almost like this rebuilding team, and they're not at all. It's just that they've got like the assets of almost like a rebuilding team. Meanwhile,
yeah,
they're a very competitive team at the same time. And it's like one of the things this year is like they're gonna have a lot of cap space to work with here, dude. Like the thing is, it's like who's out the door right now for them? It's gonna be Orlov, possibly Brent Burns.
yeah.
Then up front, it's Eric Robinson, and I think that's it. I don't know if I'm missing someone. Like everyone else here, I see is signed to at least a couple years. Like I think what you got to do is you got to go out and fill your needs. And the thing is with the defenseman too is like what I'm saying is like, okay, you're losing Orlov, you're losing Burns. To be honest with you, dude, I feel like they're gonna re-sign Burns for cheaper. I feel like they just
Yeah,
really like him and he plays their style well. Meanwhile, I mean, like he's kind of old at this point. He's gone downhill a lot, but it's like you're gonna. He's making 5.2 million. He's going down to like whatever half of that, and then. But in my opinion, it's like you could probably plug Morrow and Nikishin in the lineup. That's like $2 million, and you literally have your top six filled.
yeah. And
Like you know what I mean?
you still got Chatfield as well right now, who's sitting in the sitting in the press box right now. He's listed as day to day, but you know what I mean. Like that's a guy that's going to be in that decor still next year too.
For sure, and it's like Walker's out right now as well,
Yeah,
and it's like I just think last summer the moves they made to move on from Shea and Pesci, and not those guys made like over 5.5 million each, and then you replace them with Gostosphere and Sean Walker, who neither of them make $4 million, and Gostisbehere's on a 3-year deal, Walker's on a 5-year deal. It's like I feel like they set themselves up so nicely with those contracts, and I feel like you could argue that Gostisbehere and Walker have been more impactful than Pesce and Shea have, at least this season.
Yeah.
Like, Shea had a pretty brutal year. Pesce was injured for a lot of it. He's still super solid. I just think they didn't want to pay him that much. Like, he's a good, reliable defensive defenseman. But, like, I feel like Walker was always a kind of underrated dude. And it's like they got him at a nice price. He can play top 4 minutes. And it's like, dude, Nikishin, like, what is it? Like, I don't know what his full upside is. But, like, I'm saying at worst, he's going to be a solid top 4 defenseman.
Yeah. For me, when I look at their decor, the one thing I think they kind of have been missing in recent years is that Dougie Hamilton player. Like, the guy that does have that offensive input. Right? Like, they do have Brent Burns and Gostisbehere in there now, but, like, both of those guys aren't in their prime. They're towards the end of their careers. Like, that's where I look at Nikishin and I'm like, what can he become? Like, can he become like a true kind of like number one like Dougie Hamilton was, where he can play that defensive style but also can run a power play, can put up the offensive numbers? Because I do think they are missing that a little bit in the back end right now. I would like
But
I'm not
I even look at it in the sense, like, what if he could? The thing is, it's like, what if he could be like a number 2 almost, and it's like he's just like playing more offensive while Slavin's the defensive guy. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, even if he's a top 25 to 30 defenseman in the NHL, but he's more strict offense. Like, I feel like that could work well for Carolina.
Same, because the other thing with that is it allows Slavin, like Slavin's best part about his game is his playing in his own end, right? Like how reliable he is.
Right.
Like I do love Slavin, but there is part of me that doesn't know if he is like a true number one, right?
Yeah.
Like I
I
think
will
he's
say, though, if you looked at his points per game from regular season to playoffs, he's actually better in the playoffs, which is kind of funny. But I mean, I get it. He doesn't put up a lot of points, right? But I mean, I just respect the defensive part. But
yeah,
it's like almost, could you get like 2 number 2 defensemen to like work well together, considering I don't want to say Nikishin's an opposite of him, because I don't think he's bad defensively. I just think he's kind of getting used to the NHL style, and I think he's got a high offensive upside. Like, he scored 17 goals in the KHL as a defenseman this year, dude. It's not a high scoring league. Like,
yeah.
that's pretty impressive numbers, dude. I think he's done. I think he had 15 goals last year. So, like, I feel like you could almost get 2 number 2s to work together. Like, kind of, I know they're both left-handed shooting, but I mean, maybe one of them would try playing the right side. I don't know. You know, like.
Yeah, or even you just roll them both out on like different units is kind of what it is now. But like even as you mentioned, the can you kind of have 2 good number 2s work? Like I'll be honest, even when they had Dougie Hamilton, like I don't know if Dougie Hamilton was like a for sure number 1, right? Like I'd say that maybe is kind of like was like them having 2 very good number 2 defensemen and making it work. It's like
I think Doug. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
it's like for me, I look at Nikishin and the biggest thing is, can he become that? Part of me thinks he can, but even if he can't become that, or if it will take him a bit of time to become that, like Carolina has a lot of cap space and they have a lot of assets. Could we see them do something in the summer where maybe they trade for an RFA, right? Like Noah Dobson, he's an RFA. He's a right-hand shot. I think he'd fit in very
That'd
well.
be
Like
spicy. Spicy.
could we see them doing something like that? Aaron Ekblad. I think Aaron Ekblad on the right side playing with Slavin or Nikishin, like that could be interesting, right?
Dude, yeah, I get what you're saying. Going back to the Hamilton thing, I feel like he looked more like a number 1 because of he was putting up offensive numbers and Slavin was making him look like average defensively.
Yeah.
But I feel like his defensive game has been more exposed in New Jersey, and I feel like I don't really consider him a number 1. I think he's probably like a number 2. Um, but I mean, that's really interesting because honestly, dude, it's crazy. I feel like one guy would be perfect for this fucking team is Sam Bennett.
That's who I was going to bring up next.
But like I don't think he would ever go there, to be honest. Like, they need a second line center,
Yeah.
regardless if Sam Bennett would ever consider going there or not. And I think that the physicality he would bring would be something that they lack, and that something that would help them a ton. But honestly, like in a more realistic sense, I feel like if they are willing to spend money in free agency, I know they have assets, but I mean, maybe there's a guy in free agency they see that they like that could that they could get for not giving up assets for, right? Like, do you think like maybe like a Granlund would consider going there? Because I think he'd be a nice ad for them. And it's like because there's not really a ton of 2Cs available, right? Unless like Brock Nelson would consider going there, like or Tavares. But it's like besides that, those three and Bennett, like unless you're making a trade for someone who I think there could be maybe a couple of potential 2Cs available. I just think that maybe Granlund might be the most likely scenario if they decide to go free agent route.
I think a Granlund would be interesting, but if I'm being honest, like I don't think that's enough, dude. I think it's like Sam Bennett, and if you're not getting Sam Bennett, you kind of go and see maybe what you can do with the trade market.
But that doesn't mean you. I'm not saying you can't do anything else.
That's
Like
fair.
I'm more or less just saying like if you can get a guy that you're really interested in for free in the sense of like you're not spending an asset to get him besides cap space, and then you have these other assets to potentially even go
Yeah,
like go get another top six even winger. Like what's the problem with moving Taylor Hall down to the third line?
yeah.
Like I don't see an issue with it. Get Kotkaniemi down a line, get Hall down a line. I don't know. Then it's like you have depth. Stankoven's on the third line. Maybe sometimes it'll be Blake or like fuck. You know what I mean? Like they have a lot of options. They got a lot of cap space, and it's like I actually don't mind their depth. I mean, it's been a little bit more dried up than I was kind of anticipating it to be in these playoffs. Like William Carrier, he's usually pretty good in the playoffs. He's had some deep runs with Vegas, right? But he doesn't have a point in the whole playoffs. Like I don't mind Jankowski or like Martinuk or Robinson. I think they play the way you need to play to win. They play like these two-way gritty styles, but it's not overly physical where you're noticing it against like Florida, and it's just like a lot of them aren't like scoring, right? So it's like I don't mind their depth, but maybe they can sub a guy or two out, maybe a guy who's more offensive, you know what I mean, speedy.
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, I like the way this team's constructed, and I think the funny thing is, dude, is like think about their turnover from last year to this year, and a lot of people thought they were gonna like take a huge step back, and it's like they didn't really at all, minus like just not winning the division. Well, I mean, they haven't won the division in a couple of years, actually. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're still second in the Metro, and it's like they go all the way to the conference finals again when this is supposed to be, like, a year where they're not as good. You know what I mean? No
Yeah.
Teravainen, Pesci, Shea, Stefan Nason's gone.
You
Like,
lost
you know, they had
Gensel.
a ton of turnover. Gensel, yeah, fuck. I forgot the best guy there. Like, so I don't know, man. I think, like, I still look at this, it's like it's kind of a successful season for them. I just still don't think that they're ready to take that next step to win the Stanley Cup, despite how close they are.
Yeah, I'm all with you on that, man. I love what I'm seeing from this team, and the fact that they're in a position where they are right now and have all this cap space in this offseason and have all these assets with prospects and picks. I think they're in maybe one of the best positions around the entire NHL
The
right
one
now.
question I think I only have, and it's like I don't think that it can't be done, but I think the biggest question mark is honestly like, can Freddie or Kochetkov help get them there?
Yeah,
It's like Freddie was pretty good for 2 rounds. The thing is, though, it's like I think he's been playing very well. But like when you ask me the thing about Ottinger, I'm just like, dude, I think in my head the defensive factor of the way they play, especially in the first 2 rounds, like puts so much more sway into it. Even him having a 940 and Ottinger having a 915. Like I
yeah.
at the time when you said that, and I was like, I still think that Ottinger is bailing his team out more than Freddie Anderson is at the end of the day, despite his stats noticeably worse. You know what I mean?
And I think the big thing with Freddie too is we have seen it year in and year out. Like he does get fatigued at points, right? Like it is tough for him to stay healthy. It's like when he's going, he's great. But it's the big question with him is like how long are you gonna get those performances for? Because at some point, you know he's gonna get fatigued. You're gonna have to
Well,
go to
I
Kochetkov.
think he was starting to get fatigued at the beginning of the series, despite
Yeah,
even them having some rest. I don't think he's used to playing all the time, and it's like I just don't really trust Kochetkov, to be quite honest with you. So I don't know. That's honestly my biggest question mark for them. And like not this year, but like going forward, I guess. It's just like, can one of them actually get them there? But it's like maybe they start running it more of as a legit tandem and like almost doing what Edmonton's doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or you know what I mean? So just give the guy a net for a couple games if he's hot, like, instead of like maybe a full rotation. But I don't know, man. They're still in a good position. I wouldn't be surprised to see them back on the conference finals next year again.
Mark, let's move on to the Western Conference and talk about the finals going on over there. Last night, the Edmonton Oilers, they took a 3-1 series lead over the Dallas Stars, and they have a chance to clinch in Game 5 in Dallas. Before we fully talk about this series, Mark, I know you got some news here on Florida's lineups tonight.
Yeah, it seems so. Eric Engels just tweeted a couple minutes ago that Paul Maurice said that Mikkola, Reinhart, and Greer are all expected to play tonight. So Florida getting a big boost back to their lineup. Probably wasn't even considering that when I said they're going to win tonight, but probably gives me a little bit more confidence even in that now.
Yeah, I think that series is 99.9% over by 12 o'clock tonight. Now let's talk about the West, Mark. What are your thoughts on this series so far and how it's kind of played out here?
Man, I feel like it's kind of lopsided, don't you think, man? Like I feel like
This
Dallas has had their chances to score, but like I don't know.
Let's be real, the series is 3-1, but this series could easily be over if Edmonton didn't have that third period performance in game one, right? Like this could have been a
Yeah,
sweep.
dude, 100%. It was exactly what I was thinking. Um, do you not think that like kind of what I said, I like whatever it was last pod or two pods ago that like Dallas's depth has just been kind of non-existent, like offensively. Like it's
Yep.
crazy, dude. Like I actually find this like mind-boggling that the amount of talent that they have, and it's like none of these guys are like showing up. And dude, they've been fucking brutal at 5-on-5.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what have you seen like the plus minuses for some of these guys in the playoffs?
I don't have it here in front of me right now.
So Wyatt Johnson, I'm pretty sure, is on pace for the worst plus minus in NHL history, and he's at minus 17.
Oh, oh, brother.
Yeah, dude. And I think Duchesne is, I don't have them all in front of me, but I know Johnson is the worst. I think that like Matt Duchesne might be pretty high on that too. Wyatt Johnson's minus 18, Duchesne's minus 15, Harley's minus 9, Ben's minus 8, Robertson's minus 6. A couple guys are closer to even, like Rantanen, and there's only two guys that are plus, Ryan Bichelle and Sam Steele, and then three guys at even, Hintz, Granlund, and Petrovic. Everyone else is,
Yeah.
is minus 2 or worse.
That is really not great.
I don't even like using plus minus, but I feel like when it's that lopsided, it's showing like how much the team is like getting their like goals on the power play and being like outscored 5-on-5. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, I know I actually think he's been really good in this series despite one game, but I'd say consistently throughout this whole playoffs, like Jake Ottinger has been their best player. I'm sorry. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
Rantanen probably had the best high-end stretch of like 6 games or whatever it was, but I think consistently Jake Ottinger has been one of their best players. Like, dude, he's been keeping them in every game. Like, I know he didn't play good in game. Was it 3? Like, but I mean, like, dude, you can't like Bob has had bad games in the playoffs. Like, it's like it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? I just don't think Dallas has been good, dude. And I actually like don't think that as much as I like some of their defensemen, I feel like their right side is getting super exposed by like McDavid and Draisaitl and like some other guys. Like CC has been terrible.
Oh, he's not been great at all. And just like looking at the numbers here, if you take out the 6-3 game one win for the Stars and you look at the last three games, game two, Dallas got shut out. Game three, Dallas had one goal. Game four last night, they had one goal. So in games two, three, and four combined, Dallas has two goals. Edmonton has scored more goals in every game alone than Dallas has in game two and three, four combined. And then like even looking at the point totals, dude, for the Stars, Mikko Rantanen has 21 points in the playoffs so far for them. Thomas Harley has 12 as the next highest scorer on that team. You got Rope Hintz with 11. Like some of these guys just are not producing offensively. Matt Duchene, as you mentioned, dude, he has 6 points. He has 6 points right now in the playoffs. Where's
He's
the
been brutal,
offensive?
dude. He had a good season, but I don't know what is wrong with him in the playoffs. Like, do you think he's hurt or he's just like not rising to the occasion?
I think he's just not rising to the occasion. I don't think he's hurt. The worst one for me though is Jason Robertson. Jason Robertson in 10 games in the playoffs, 4 points. I get with him, he did come back from an injury, but it's like, man, that's a guy that's supposed to be your second best offensive player.
I don't think he's been like a super difference maker in the playoff runs that he's been on yet.
Yeah,
To be honest
it's
with you, I don't think he's been kind of the guy. Like, I mean, he has scored the last couple games, but I mean, I don't think overall he's been great. Um, yeah, like I feel like they actually need to make a change with some of their depth and stuff. Like, dude, every like stars like mock team for next year I see, like none of them have Duchesne coming back. Like, I don't think that it doesn't seem like they're really that interested in like the fans and like bringing him back. Like maybe the team sees him more valuable and they will, and he'll sign for cheap. But um, I don't know if he's going to be back. Like Ben's a UFA this year too. I don't really know what's happening with him. I really think he's been going downhill a bit. Do you not?
yeah. I think Ben at best
Like I'd say
now
he
is
was more like a top six player for a while. Like and now I don't know. Like he's more of like a third line guy
I think he's a
at
third
this
line at
point.
best. And like
Yeah, like he's not going to get a big contract this year at all.
with him getting older too, it's like that might even turn into like a fourth line guy. It's like I do think when you look at Dallas, like they do have a good roster. They do have a lot of places in peace, but there is a lot of places for them to get better. Like they do gotta bolster up that decor a bit, get them some help. And I think when I look at their forwards, like it almost feels like it's too many cooks in the kitchen. It feels like you have too many guys that sort of provide the same thing. It's like they can't all go out there and do that, right? Like,
100%. But it's like, dude, it's like none of them are doing it at all. Like it's nuts, man.
yeah,
Like it's like none of them are showing up and it's like uh their goalie's bailing them out of a lot of situations, I find. Um dude, I got a Dallas Star stat for you. Mind-boggling. How many Okay, I have a question for you first to answer this. How many goals do you think Dallas has scored in the first period on the road this postseason?
in the
So
first
they've
period.
played. So they've played three in the first round, three in the second round, and then now two in the conference finals. So they've played eight games on the road. How many do you think they've scored?
So I'm cheating a little bit here, I think, but I don't think they scored one first period goal in round one on the road.
No, they haven't. They've been so
They
the
haven't
Dallas
at all
Stars.
in the playoffs,
No,
eh?
they haven't
See,
scored a single goal on the road. A single goal. No.
I was starting in round one because I know round one they for sure didn't, and then I was trying to look at round two. Don't think they would have in round two. Not 100% sure there, but dude, like the fact that they haven't, how are you like how do you expect to win hockey games if you're playing from behind all the time?
I don't
Like,
know. Like especially on the road, it's like are these guys even much better than fucking Winnipeg when Winnipeg's on the road? Like, you know what I mean? Even though Dallas, I feel like the difference was like honestly, dude, Ottinger helped them win a couple games on the road in these low
yeah,
scoring games. I mean, while Hellebuck didn't help the Jets in that case. Like I honestly just think that like goaltending plays a bit more of a factor into it than people think. I honestly think Ottinger's been really good. I think this playoff run, he's been proving that why he is probably a top five goalie in the NHL. Like,
yeah,
despite like he has a 908, dude. I think if like we're looking at it, like I think he's been playing like he at least has a 920. Like that, in my opinion, I just think he's looked that good to me. But it's like he gets an extra goal scored on him here and there, and that kind of depletes the stats, right? So with this stat too, I didn't know about. So you're correct; they have not scored a goal on the road in the first period in the postseason. They've been outscored 10-0 in the first period on the road this postseason. They're the only team in Stanley Cup playoffs history to not score a first period goal in the first 8 road games of a single playoff year.
yeah. Like you're not gonna win a Stanley Cup doing that. You're just not going to at the end of the day. Like
No.
And when you talk about Ottinger and how good he's been, like, dude, the amount of times watching the game last night and there's a odd man rush for the Oilers, it's like, bro, like we're talking about Dallas's forwards and how they haven't been that great offensively throughout the playoffs, but I don't think they've been that great defensively as well. Like I'm watching the game last night. There's a bunch of times where there's odd man rushes for Edmonton, and it's like where the fuck's the third forward for Dallas? Like Dallas needs to have a third forward getting back, clogging up the neutral zone, not making it easy for Edmonton to get on these breaks. It's I don't fully understand what these forwards are doing defensively, and I think when we talk about the decor that Dallas has, and like you already have Heiskanen kind of beat up a little bit, these forwards need to help out the D, and they're not doing that whatsoever so far.
No, I agree, dude. I know we'll probably talk about the Oilers for a bit. I got a couple more stats to plug in here. Dude, I did not realize this until this morning. Did you know that every single conference final game that no team has won by less than 3 goals
In this series, like
in the whole conference finals?
this
Both,
year,
yeah. Yeah, every game has been decided. I know there's been empty netters, but
yeah,
every single game has been decided by 3+ goals so far, which is pretty nuts to be honest with you. It's just doesn't it like I feel like it doesn't feel like it's an intense conference finals right now. And I know we're going to get into the Oilers probably and talk about them for a bit, but this stat was pretty mind-boggling to me too. So, Oilers playoff record in the Chris Knobloch era: games 1 through 3, 9 and 12; games 4 through 7, 17 and 2.
like
One of
yeah,
those 2 losses, game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, which was terrible, but
yeah,
insane, dude. They've been unbelievable. This team, they're getting the buy-in defensively. They don't even have their best fucking defensive defenseman, and they're
yeah.
playing unreal defensively. Honestly, dude, I know you said it wasn't a great ad, but I think Wallman has been incredible.
No, I like the Wallman ad.
No, I know, but you said I don't know if he could be good enough defensively. And I was like,
Yeah,
I think he's got that side of him where it's like his offense is more showing, but he can play like that styles. I think
yeah.
he's been good. Honestly, I think Nurse has been pretty good for the most part. And I think, dude, Bouchard has been great, in my opinion. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I don't see how you can leave him off of Team Canada next year. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you can't.
I think he has to make the team, dude. Like I think he's that good, and it's like, dude, I'm so sick of people talking about the giveaways, the mistakes. It's like, buddy, if you break down the numbers, Evan Bouchard has the puck on his stick more than like 95% of the league.
Yeah.
So, which means sometimes he's gonna give the puck away more. It doesn't mean he's an elite defensive defenseman. I'm just saying that he is a lot better defensively than people give him credit for. And I think that this playoff run not having Ekholm should make people realize that more. And I think that he'd be an asset on Canada next year, dude.
Dude, without a doubt, without a doubt. I think Evan Bouchard. I think the reason people don't give Evan Bouchard his full credit is because at points in the regular season he doesn't have those crazy numbers. But when you look at the Oilers over the last couple of years, would you say anybody on the Oilers, including even maybe McDavid and Draisaitl, like just knowing what numbers they could put up, like would you say anybody has like great regular seasons on the Oilers? I wouldn't necessarily say so. Like
No,
I
like I
think
mean, not consistently. Like they've had guys that have like Hyman popping off for 50+ goals, like
yeah,
Nuge getting 100 points, but that's not like on a consistent basis. Like right, like from those guys, right? Like they have like a drop off. That's kind of like more of their career high season. But yeah, it's like besides the 2 big guys, the most consistent guy you're going to get out of is Bouchard. Like
and
he's
even
going to be putting up 70+ points every year, I think, at least. You know what I mean? He's got a fucking bomb of a shot. Like I don't know. I think he's a really good player. I think I can't believe how much he gets hated on. Like that's what mind boggles me.
Dude, I think he's the second best right hand shot defenseman in the entire NHL. Like you have Petrangelo, he's up there, but like I think Bouchard.
I take Bouchard,
I
dude.
think
I'm
Bouchard
not
what he
even
shows in the
convinced Petro. I
playoffs.
think Petro's more of a number two.
Yeah,
Yeah, Bouchard, dude. Isn't he like? Well, I don't know because of the last couple games, but isn't he like top three in like points per game for a defenseman ever in the playoffs or something?
yep. I believe he is.
Like
I
that,
I
dude.
don't,
Those are insane numbers. Like,
especially in this day and age. Like I love what I'm seeing from the Oilers, man. Like as you said, they are fully bought in, and it, you're doing it without Ekholm, which is massive. It's like, will Ekholm come back maybe at some point? Like that's still not fully out of the realm, I don't think. But while we are sort of talking about Ekholm and that injury, Zach Hyman, he's going to be out for the rest of the season, which is a massive loss. Mark, how is that going to impact the Oilers here?
well, so first of all, what do you think it was?
I think it's his
I think
wrist.
it's his. Yeah, I was gonna say that's what I think it is too. Because, like, I was like, I watched it a couple times, and I'm like, okay, he didn't like get clipped in the head. I was like, there was no head contact like at all. Like, you know what I mean? Not even as like a secondary point. I was like, so it's not concussion. And then I'm like, fuck, maybe his wrist got like jammed up in there. I wonder
It's
if it's broken, like
it's his
I or
wrist.
something.
It's his wrist or it's his elbow. It's something in his arm. And the other thing too, which makes me believe that, is Chris Knobloch had a press conference today, and he said that he's getting surgery. Hyman's getting surgery right now, which definitely eliminates the like is it a conky something like that, right? But man, this is a big loss for the Oilers, dude. Yeah,
It is a big loss because it's like his offensive game hasn't been like where it's been in the past. But I mean, he's been so physical this playoffs, dude.
yeah,
Did you see the hits comparison from
yeah.
regular season to playoffs for Zach Hyman? He's got like 107 hits in 14 playoff games, and he had 117 and 82 in the regular season. 11 points in 15 games, like definitely nothing to slouch about, like one of their top scorers. I just meant more like his goal scoring pace in past playoffs has been a little bit higher than it was this year. He's been kind of tearing it up recently. I just think that they've got some. It's kind of crazy how they went through this run and like Arvidsson and uh, Jeff Skinner like aren't even playing. And
Yeah.
like, so I think now like Jeff Skinner's coming in the lineup, to be honest. And I'm kind of curious what kind of impact he can end up making here. He's never really played in the playoffs. I really wonder if he's going to start in the bottom six somewhere, and maybe they'll promote someone to Hyman spot instead. I just think that some of the other guys are going to have to up the physicality. Like it might be even mean like a whole other level for Evander Kane, even though he's been playing well too, right? But it is definitely a loss. I feel like it's also a loss. Like I know he's not out the whole playoffs, but Connor Brown's been good too. Like hopefully he can be healthy soon. But I mean, like, do you think it's like I don't think it's good that like Hyman's out by any means, but like, do you think like a guy like Skinner can kind of seize the opportunity? Like, I know he's not going to replace him, but I mean, like, maybe you might get a big goal or two, you know, that
I think he
helps you out
could.
down the way.
I think Arvidsson could as well. Like
Yeah, like he's a little bit more of a gritty guy.
when I look at this Oilers team, dude, it they really do have the mentality of next man up. Like
Yeah.
you've seen it with Ekholm going down, right? Like we were right when we found out that Ekholm was going to be going in the playoffs. I think both of us were thinking that LA might win that round one matchup. But
Oh,
no,
I had LA, dude.
it's been next man up for this team, dude. You're seeing it with, like Corey Perry, man. How the fuck is this guy the age he is and still playing as well as he's playing right now for the Oilers?
Dude, it's fucking crazy. He can't retire, eh? Like
No,
I need to see him keep playing.
like Kapanen, he's another guy. Kapanen, I think at times in the playoffs has looked very well and played the role he needs to play like perfectly. Nugent Hopkins, I when you're talking about this Oilers team, I don't think Nugent Hopkins gets close to the amount of respect he deserves. Right? Like everybody's talking about McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard. Bro, Nugent Hopkins in round two so far has looked like maybe their best forward at points. He's
Yeah, no, he's been really good the last couple games. And did you see like all of his assists have been like primary assists too? Like none of them were secondary in the first, I think, 3 games of the series, I think it was.
I have the I'm trying to find it right now. I have it in front of me here. So in this series, he had 2 points in game one, 2 points in game two, 3 points in game three, and 2 points in game four. So what is that? Nine 9 points through 4 games in round two. Like he's had a
Round three.
very good series so far. It does help when Edmonton's power play has been running at what I think they said 54% on the broadcast last night.
Yeah,
And
it's been clicking at a really high rate. Nuge has been playing awesome for the Oilers, especially down the stretch. I feel like he wasn't as impactful as the playoffs started, but I feel like down the stretch, him and like Hyman started producing a little bit more. But yeah, like you said, like it's definitely a loss. But like honestly, one guy I'm curious to step up more. Like not that he hasn't been physical, but like a guy like put Coles in. Like I
yeah,
wonder if he has a little bit bigger of a role here, and he's a little bit more impactful physically. So it does suck a lot, dude. But to be honest with you, like this does happen in playoff runs with teams, um, and it's like even like think a couple years ago, like Matthew Kachuk's like barely fucking like breathing and he's playing, and then he had to like sit out like I can't lie, like that's probably not much of a difference. Like at that point, right, where it's like
yeah,
he can barely make a huge impact, even you know what I mean, as much as he's trying to. But with Hyman, I guess it's if it's a wrist, it's probably like he has no chance of shooting and like receiving passes and like shit. So it's like you're better off having even like a 13th forward in there, right, at that point. So
yeah.
I mean, it sucks a lot, but I feel like these guys have a next man up mentality, and I feel like I'm not like super worried about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm all with you on that. Mark, I do want to ask you one last thing here, kind of about the Oilers before we move on. Um, Stuart Skinner, dude, he's looked pretty good here. Like outside of that third period in game one, I think he's looked very well in the rest of the series. What are you kind of seeing with him, and can he keep this up?
I think what we're seeing is like him getting back to like his form in the sense of like his movements really crisp. I feel like Stuart Skinner looks at his best when he's pretty calm. I know for the most part when he gets lit up, he's not like a very like emotional goalie, at least like you know what I mean, in the sense of like showing people. But I think that he's I think he's just getting back to where he was mentally like before, like even in the playoffs last year. I really feel with him it's a mentality thing because I don't really see like a whole ton of like differences in his game, like when he's playing bad. In the sense like he does like I think his movements like more controlled, like he's not like over sliding and like being out of his crease too much. But like he is a pretty big body, so like he does challenge, but he doesn't need to like overly challenge shooters. But I think he kind of has like like just a nice calmness to his game right now. He's seeing the
Yeah,
puck really well. And I even think he's kind of just like never even panicking when there's like rebounds and um like secondary scoring chances. You know what I mean? I think he's just kind of staying calm, and sometimes there is like a last ditch effort on like a dive or something that you need to do. But I think for the most part, he's just staying calm and composed, and he's just kind of using his body to his advantage. And like I will say too, dude, like he has came up big, but like their defensive game deserves like a ton of credit. Like
It
they're putting
does.
him in a really good situation. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's a really good environment for a goalie right now. But I mean, he's striving, so it's like you can't. I think that's the problem, dude. It's like people will look at this and they'll be like, "Oh, well, like Skinner's playing good," but like, look at his defense, and it's like, well, it's like, dude, you have two options. You could play behind this defense and play really well, or you can play behind this defense and play really bad. So either way, someone who's a hater is going to hate on either situation. So honestly, you got to give the guy kudos when he's playing well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love what I'm seeing from him, and if he can keep this up, I think Edmonton could have a good
See,
chance
the
here of winning the
question though of
cup.
can he keep this up is I don't really know, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think he can get them through the series, and I know he played well against Florida last year, but I don't know. Like I mean, he did play well for like a 2 round stretch last season, but I mean, I will say that Stuart Skinner looked a lot more confident going into the playoffs like last year than he did this year, and he had a lot more of these ups and downs this year, I felt, than he did last year. I felt like last year for Skinner, it was kind of like he was really fucking bad, and then he ended up being like good, and then he continued that good, and like he had the one blip in the playoffs, but like
yeah,
last year, but like it wasn't nearly as bad as it was this year, in my opinion. It was more like fuck, we just kind of get goalie change, like Pickard, like go in, you know what I mean? But this year it was like holy shit, Skinner's like unbearable, and I felt like there was more like ups and downs with that point last year, or sorry, this year with Skinner than there
yeah.
was last year. It was more like fuck, this is a terrible stretch for the team and Skinner, and then holy shit, Skinner's playing well, the team's playing really well going into playoffs. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like I feel like it's possible he could because he did last year and he's proven that he could do it. But I could also see that he could have another down at some point if maybe something happens to the Oilers like early on against the Panthers. Like would you like dude? Last year they went down 3-0 to them in the finals. Like would you honestly really okay, I'd be surprised if it happened again, but it's like
Yeah, it
you
would be.
can't tell me it's not possible. And Skinner could play bad through that, right? So I don't know. I'd say it's like probably I have like a 60% optimism that he could keep this up.
Yeah, yeah. See, I think I'm a little bit higher, just because it's like we saw it last year that he if he gets going, he can get going, and it's like you also think too. Edmonton knows now, like I'm assuming they're gonna move on to the Stanley Cup Finals here because they got the chokehold on Dallas, right? But you know that Edmonton does know it's like man, like we can't go down, we can't go down in this Stanley Cup Finals. Like we gotta at worst go 2-2, right? Like split at home, split it
Yeah.
away, and then it's a best of three, right? So you know Edmonton's gonna have that mentality now after what happened last year. Mark, just want to ask you quickly here before we move on: is the series over?
Like I think it's over in the sense that Edmonton's winning. Like maybe Dallas can win a game on home ice. But to be honest with you, like I wouldn't expect it to go more than 6, if anything.
See, I think this game is over. Game five in Dallas. I think
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be hard for Dallas to go back in front of their fans, like based off the way they've played and not have a like Dallas for me throughout the series has not shown me that they can win, dude. Even if Dallas got up, like which they can't fucking do, it's like I think Edmonton's gonna go in have a strong game. Plus the other thing too is Edmonton's probably looking at this Florida, and it's like man for every game that we keep on going, that's an extra day that we give Florida rest, which you really don't want to be doing. Before we wrap up the podcast here, I just want to talk about a couple signings here, Mark. The Utah Mammoth have signed both their 2023 first round picks. It was selected by Arizona at the time, but of course it carries over to Utah. Daniil Boot and Dmitry Simishev have both signed their ELCs. What do you kind of make about these signings?
I think it's nice in the sense that to get them coming over to North America. I know they were playing. They played in the KHL for some time this year. I think a little bit in the playoffs too with their teams, but their playing time came in the like the junior league, kind of like VHL. I think it was, and they just wrapped up their playoffs. Um, they actually just won the like Gargarian Cup Locomotive, like the junior team, and they
Yeah.
both of them were on the team. So I mean, these are both big bodies for Utah. I think that it's kind of something they don't have a lot of right now, especially like a guy like Boot up front, a guy that could potentially be a top six forward eventually. I think he's like a 6'5", and he might be over 200 pounds as well.
He is
Um,
6'5".
More of like a power forward type style. I think that's definitely something that Utah could use on their team. And Simashev, I think you're looking at a guy more. You're going to be looking at him more as like a two-way defensive style defenseman. I don't think he's ever going to be a guy that puts up a big number of points in the NHL. But he's also a big guy too. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4", and he skates very well. So I mean, if you're able to kind of get that still defensive style play that he's been playing over in Russia translate to the NHL, if you can kind of help him develop some more of like offensive style, I think you're getting a really good defenseman here. I think he probably projects more as like maybe if he can hit his potential, like more like a number two, like like more of like a Slavin light, like where like probably not as impactful as Slavin, but like the same style where it's like you're getting some offense, but you're mostly your impact is defense. You know what I mean? I think he's going to end up logging a lot of minutes in the future. I think he'll be a guy where we're talking like between 20 and 24 minutes a night because I think he's just such a good skater that it'll translate so well. And I think that's definitely a good thing for Utah. I don't think he's ever going to be like a difference maker, like where it's like he's kind of like an elite top 10, 15 defenseman putting up a ton of points, like
Yeah.
along with defensive game. But I think these are two pretty good assets. To be honest, I'm higher on Simashev than I am for Boot. I feel like at worst, Simashev is playing top four. And I feel like with Boot, it's like maybe the power forward style doesn't work out, and he's more of a bottom six guy. I have a strong feeling that Simashev is making Utah next year, and I think Boot maybe could, but I think some AHL time would help him more. But I think that Simashev's defensive game and his skating, like he could probably play in the NHL right away and not look out of place at all, and maybe surprise some people. To be honest with you, as as a really good
Yeah.
rookie.
Definitely two big signings for them as like that draft when they picked them. Originally there was some like, oh wait, what are they doing here, right? But
Well,
I think
Mitchkov was available.
yeah. But even though I think though like over the last couple of years you kind of have seen a bit those picks come into place, and it is kind of panning out a bit better than originally it seemed. Because let's be real, dude, a lot of people were like, "What the fuck are they? What the fuck are they
Yeah.
doing?" I
Well,
forget if it
you
was
never know though. It might not be the right pick down the road. It's
yeah.
just like he looks like a solid player, like, but it doesn't mean that there wasn't a better player available at the time, right? Like it. But I mean, I don't know. I think he's going to have a good career, but I mean, I don't think he's going to be very impactful offensively. Is my thing.
No, that's fair, but I mean, you kind of compared him a bit there to Slavin. It's like, hey, if he
Well, you
can
know who
turn
a
into a
better,
Slavin,
honestly.
like,
Well, you know who a better comparable would be is like honestly, I think like Brodeen
yeah, and
in
that's still a hell of a
Minnesota.
player.
Yeah,
Overall, though, it's gonna help out Utah a fair bit. Plus, with the cap space they have, the Mitch Marner rumors are starting to really swirl up there. It's gonna be interesting seeing here what happens with the conference finals as they push on, and I guess we're getting closer to free agency in the draft too. So things are gonna start swirling up with that as well. Overall, though, that's gonna wrap up this episode. We'll be back probably at some point next week to do a preview of the Stanley Cup Finals. But for everybody tuning in to this episode, thanks for tuning in.